Hello, my name is Rupert Hoodruff and I'm the Chairman and Chief Researcher of the Hurun Report. Now today I'm delighted to bring you an overview of the latest China Rich List, but before that I'd like to say thank you very much to our partners. They're a premium baijiu brand called Hengchang Shaofang, who've been working with us now for 5 years. Now the essence of the China Rich List is that we're trying to tell the story of the Chinese economy through the stories of its most successful entrepreneurs. Who's up and who's down in many ways tells us what's going on in the Chinese economy today. Now, it's this 26th time that I put out the China Rich List since 1999. And if you can think of it like this, we've taken 26 snapshots of the private economy in China, and then we put them all together and you sort of see what the big trends are, which industries are on the up, which cities are on the up, and so on and so forth. Now, there are two things that really stood out for me this year. The first is that in 26 years, we've had our 17th number one in China. When you compare that with America, there have only been 4 number ones in America in that time. That's Bill Gates, Warren Buffett was for 1 year, Jeff Bezos, and now, of course, Elon Musk. But in China, we're on our 17th number one. Who is he or she this year? And then the second thing that really stood out for me was that, did you know that of the 1,100 people that we found on this year's list, half of them were not on the list 5 years ago? So it means there's so much new wealth being created. There's new stories, new business models that are coming to the fore. And of course, at the same time, you've got old models which are sort of dropping down. Which industries are on the up and which industries are on the down. This year, I thought I'd start at the very top of the rich list and try and tell the story of what's the big themes of the economy are at the moment through the stories of its top entrepreneurs. So as I said, we got a new number one, 17th in just 26 years. And believe me or not, he's 41 years old. So that's pretty amazing when you think about it. To be age 41 and you're number one in a country of 1.4 billion people. He is, more than anybody else, the revolutionary behind the short video app. And he is Zhang Yiming of ByteDance, who perhaps overseas is best known for TikTok, but domestically best known for its even more profitable Douyin short messaging app, with short video apps. Like I said, he's the current number one. But at the beginning of the year, it was our number two who was number one. He's 70-year-old bottled water king, not just of China, but probably of the whole world. But he saw his share price drop quite significantly in February, so that means that he dropped down to number two. In the middle of the year, we had Colin Huang, who's now dropped down to number 4. But Colin Huang of Pinduoduo, the e-commerce giant, perhaps best known internationally for doing Temu, and he was number one when his share price shot up like 60-70% in the middle of the year, but only for a short time, and then it dropped back down again. But Temu, again, has been incredibly popular and successful about going global, and I believe has had almost 170 million downloads on its Temu app just to date as we speak. So the thing that struck me is that if you look at Zhang Yiming and Huang Zheng, Colin Huang from Pinduoduo, they're both in their early 40s and they're both looking to go global. And that is one of the big themes of this year's Rich List, is this concept that so many people are trying to go global and are making really big steps in that way as well. As I said at the beginning, over half the people on this year's Rich List weren't there 5 years ago. And when you think about it, that's a pretty remarkable thing to change. So it shows that the old guard is changing. You know, on the one side, you've got the traditional real estate developers. They have been dropping off and seeing their wealth drop quite significantly over the last 5 years. But then you've also got this new guard that's coming up. Now, who are they? What are they represented by? Which industries are on the up? Well, the industries that have suffered in the last year, well, probably more than anybody else, have been the renewables, the solar panel makers and the EV car makers. And they've seen their wealth drop by as much as, say, 50, even 70, 80% from the high point back in 2021. So you see the likes of Huang Zheng of CATL, which is the world's biggest lithium battery producer. His wealth has dropped down year on year by about $7 billion US. Wow. But who's on the up? Consumer products, generally speaking, more than anybody else have been on the up, led by the likes of Zhang Yiming of ByteDance with his short video apps. The others that have seen their wealth grow a lot over the last year include CZ Zhao of Binance, the cryptocurrency exchange. And despite being in custody in the US, and he's seen his wealth grow more than 10-15 billion US dollars on the back of Bitcoin's price doubling and then creating a huge amount of transactional volume in the whole of the world of cryptocurrency. Another one was Lei Jun of Xiaomi. And now Lei Jun is perhaps best known for his smartphones, but in April this year, he announced the successful launch of his SU7 car, which has got a huge amount of publicity here in China. In fact, Lei Jun himself is probably the individual with the highest sort of media following or social media following in China, with over 50 million followers, which is pretty significant. Another theme that I think ought to be of great interest is, where do these people choose to live? Because being very successful entrepreneurs, pretty much they could choose to live anywhere they want in the world. Now, the China Rich List is this year, Beijing is still the number one, but only by the slimmest of margins, by like 3 or 4 individuals. Whereas back in 2016, Beijing was head and shoulders the number one. It was number one by 130 people, but that gap has now been reduced significantly. Number 2, for the first time in over 10 years, well, since 2013, is Shanghai, which has overtaken Shenzhen. So Shanghai must be very pleased to hear that news. And otherwise, we've got about 30 people living overseas, mainly in the US and Singapore. The US tend to be the ones who emigrated slightly earlier on, whereas Singapore has been very popular for recent emigrations. The average age on the Rich List is 61, so that means they're born on average in 1953. The average age has been brought up quite a lot by those living in Hong Kong and Taiwan, who tend to start their businesses much earlier than the rest of mainland China. We have 130 people under the age of 40, which is 26 more than last year, which is pretty remarkable too. So I hope I've given you a brief overview as to what's going on in this year's China Rich List. I'd like to say thank you again to our partner, premium baijiu brand, Hengchang Shaofang. But more importantly, I want to say thank you very much to you for watching, and hopefully this list can give you some ideas as to what's going on in the economy. But I suppose I still haven't answered one important question, which is, how do you get onto the list? Well, we've done some analysis and we might have the answer for you. We looked at the Chinese star signs. So if you were born in the year of the horse, you've had a good year this year. And if you're born in the year of the chicken or rooster, not such a good year. But generally speaking, those who make the Rich List for the most likely are those born in the year of the rabbit, the year of the dragon, and the year of the snake. So there you go. That's the answer for how to make the Rich List going forward. So thank you very much for watching, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye-bye.